Welcome back to another Making Light with Brent and Noe. Today we've got Rashod Vaughn and Julien Johnson hanging out with us, both comics in the scene right now. And we get, like we were just talking, we get to chop it up a lot, you know, at open mics and shows and shit, but we never really get a chance to sit down and like talk. So
yeah,
I guess what do you want to start with? What do you want to do?
I don't know, really whatever. I mean, what we from what we know of you guys, we all kind of met around the same time, right? Like we all were kind of coming into the Omaha scene at the same time, even though Brent's been doing it probably a while longer, same with Rashod. But we all met each other at the same time, I guess. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, like I guess more about you guys. I'm kind of curious. Like I don't know you guys that well now that I think about it. Like I would consider you guys friends, but when I really think about it, I don't know shit about you guys. Like I don't know anything. So I don't know. Just what's something interesting about yourself? I guess that you want people to know.
Well, I'll go first. I've been doing stand up for a while. I don't want to put a number on it, but I've been in the scene for a long time. So, you know, and yeah, been in the scene for a long time. So,
Are you from Omaha, Rashod?
Yeah, I was originally born in Cuppard, Georgia. You know, like 20 minutes outside of Atlanta. So, and I moved up here since I was 3 months old. So
Okay.
So I've been here ever since I was 3 months old. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Born, almost raised here, pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's cool, dude. What about you, Julien? You been here your whole life?
Yeah, born and raised.
Dope.
Unfortunately.
I hear you.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. Like we all kind of came into the scene, well, except for Rashod, obviously, and Brent. They've been doing it a little while longer than me and Julien. But Julien and I started right around the same time. I think I have like
You have a few months on me.
Yeah,
I started September 1st exactly.
Yeah. So I started somewhere in July. So I have a little bit on you. But yeah, just around the same time when we're still getting to know each other or getting to know people around us still. So yeah.
I think it was at your first open mic, actually, Julien.
Yeah, you were. I remember you had like some kind of superhero like t-shirt on.
Yeah. And then, because I was at Tyrell's first open mic too. And that was kind of how I got to know like both of you guys.
That might have been the same mic, was it not?
I don't know.
I feel like it was.
Where was your first mic at? Was it Dub?
Backline.
Backline, yeah, okay. So, but Tyrell's is a Dubliner, so.
I wasn't at your first mic because I remember the first time I saw you was at Dubliner. Yeah. So it was like the next week.
Well, the way I started, I only knew about the Backline open mic. And then like I was talking to like John Snyder and he was telling me about the Omaha comedy scene on Facebook. And I saw the rest of the mics. So I think it was like 2 weeks into my like starting comedy.
Right.
I started going to the other mics.
Dope. Yeah, same here. I remember when I was thinking about doing comedy, I found out about Barley Street, which you got to go to, right? And I wanted to do it, and I just kind of put it off for a long time. And by the time I finally decided to come around and do comedy, it was gone. Barley Street was no longer around. But from what I hear, that was like the place to be.
It was like the popular open mic, you know, more popular than Backline.
Damn.
Yeah, on Wednesdays at 9. So
I was lucky. I got to hit. I think I hit 2 or 3 mics there. So when I when I flew out here to interview for the job that moved me to Omaha, I looked it up and I found the Barley Street mic and I was able to come out to it. And then when I first moved here, I guess in November of 19, I hit it like twice before COVID and everything hit, and my new job was fucking crazy. So yeah, you're right. That was a dope spot because it was like it was dark. That stage at the front, it was cool.
I like the smell, but even though the smell is weird, but I like it because it's like this is like
you know what you're walking into.
You know what you walk into. It's like it's familiar. Home. Like it's home. You know,
no place like about home. The Dub these days. Like the first time I went to the Dub, I was like, this just smells like piss and like alcohol.
You know it does, right? You're walking down the stairs and you're like, oh, is that?
It smells like bleach
did a
and
homeless
piss.
Man shit on the steps?
Yeah, you
like probably did.
Rethinking your decisions.
Yeah, and then it smells like as soon as you get through the door, it smells like cleaning supplies.
Yeah. Plus they shot the black dude right up the stairs.
Yeah.
I forgot that's where that shit happened.
Right there.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Rip.
Damn.
Man.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, the same with me. The Dubliner will always, no matter what's going on there, it'll always have like a special place in my heart because that's where I started. That was like the first mic I ever hit. I don't even remember how I found out about it, but I remember I saw something. I have no idea how I found out about it because that was the first one. And you know what? I didn't know how to sign up for the mic. I went to Backline's page and I saw that they had an open mic and they were like, yeah, sign up. But it didn't say, it was just like, put your name in the hat. So I like emailed them. I was like, hey, how do I sign up for the mic? I'm trying to get on. And nobody, to this day, no one has ever got back to me.
They're like, if you're not smart enough to figure out how to sign up for the mic, we don't want you.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's probably it.
Dylan just doesn't check his email. Do you guys remember that chick Julie that was coming around, that like big black chick?
Big back.
Yeah.
Apparently she like had emailed him too, and she was like, "Do you ever check your email?" And he was just like, "No, I'm really busy."
Yeah.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But yeah, then after that I ended up going to Dubliner, and that was kind of the first spot I went to. But for sure, yeah, those spots have like an interesting. They just remind you of where you started. I think that'll be the cool part too. Like once all of us kind of get somewhere where we're trying to get as far as our careers, going back to spots like that's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
My thing is like when I get somewhere, I want to like come back and do like the funny bone. Because I mean, I've already done it only once, but like just to be able to like come back and be like, yeah, this is my city. You know what I mean? I want to be able to build like a big enough thing where I can come back to my city and be like,
I
bring
get
in
that.
people.
I definitely get that. I would definitely do shows at the Funny Bone if I was at that level, but I would 100% still go to an open mic and like just like random open mic on a Monday at Dublin or just show up.
Right.
I think it'd be fun if they were still going on, obviously. Right. But I think that'd be fun. You said you used to do band in high school. Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Burke.
Oh, that's right. Okay. What did you do in band? What was your thing? How long did you play band?
Let's see. I started a band in like 5th grade, and then I played until like junior year. I started off playing trumpet, but I got like nigga lips. So, unless you're Louis Armstrong. Yeah, unless you're Louis Armstrong, that it's just doesn't work out. So then I switched to baritone and trombone, and then I was in marching band.
Nice. That's dope, dude. I was also in band. That's why I was asking. I was in band. I don't remember what year it was when I started high school, probably 2012. I didn't do it my freshman year, but I did it sophomore year and junior year and senior year. And I was gonna do. I don't remember why I didn't do it in sophomore year. I was still in band. I just didn't do marching band, but I did it the other years. It was a blast. I remember that being super super fun. And also I think we talked about this last time. It might have been with Zach, but we were talking about how certain things have like a stigma. Like everybody makes fun of band kids. You don't do choir because it's gay. You know what I mean? Like you just don't. Like that's kind of like the thing behind it. Like obviously I don't think that way anymore, but like there was like I always wanted to do show choir and I never did it because I was like, it's gay. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, this is just like 16-year-old me thoughts, obviously.
Yeah, but
Oh, good.
But like with like band and like choir and stuff like that, it's like a form of camaraderie. Like people doing like the same thing. So it's like it doesn't matter if like people are like, fuck you. But like same thing with comedy. Like you have your people. Those are your tribe.
That's actually a crazy point. I never even thought about it that way. That is true because with comics, you have this level of like friendship that's not really comparable to anybody else usually. Especially when you have like your group that you hang with, or even if you don't, like the regular everyday comic, you still have this like connection to them because you both are in this grind. Right. But like, and that's interesting you say that. That is true with band. I remember thinking that like the way that you were friends with your band friends was not the way you were friends with the rest of your friends in school. Yeah. That's crazy.
Here, have you guys ever played Two Truths and a Lie? Play that, right? Let's play a couple rounds of that. I think that'll be fun, and that'll be a good way to find some stuff out. Because like I would have never pegged you as a band kid, right?
I was a nerd in school, so people don't like see that when they look at me. But
I didn't see it.
All AP classes, band, nerd, all that.
All right, here I'll go first then.
Did everybody know how to play Two Truths and a Lie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I played the trumpet in high school. I was in show choir. I wrestled in high school.
You wrestle in high school.
So those are all like you got to pick which one of those is wrong. Which one of those is a lie?
I would assume you definitely wrestled in high school.
I say show choir is a lie.
Yeah, show choir.
I didn't wrestle in high school.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, I tore my shoulder up in 8th grade, so I only played football. I didn't wrestle in high school, but I was in show choir, and I played the trumpet until I was a sophomore. When you said that, I was like, that's funny. Yeah,
that is interesting.
Yeah, my junior and senior years, I was the lead, the male lead in the musicals both years.
Sick. That's awesome. Nice. Super gay.
I know.
That's why I didn't join the choir.
Edit that.
No, leave it in.
Edit that.
This is who I am.
Oh my god.
Okay, I'll go next. Let's see. God damn it. I played soccer in high school. Middle school. I played soccer from middle school to high school. What What else?
You're all like, God, I was boring.
Yeah, a terrible life is what happened. No, okay. So I played soccer from middle school to high school. Shit, dude. I play piano. Oh no, I'll be more specific. I played.
Obviously, the first one and this one are both truths.
This game is so hard.
Because you become more specific with both of them.
Okay, hold on.
You basically need to start over now.
No,
You need somebody else to take a turn.
No, I'll stick it with it. I played soccer from middle school to high school.
Okay.
My junior year in high school, I played a Bruno Mars song for a piano recital. And the third one, I drove to school one day and my car got stolen.
You went to South, right? So I believe that one.
Yeah, I think the lie's in the middle.
I think the first one's a lie.
I think the last one's a lie. I think his car got stolen, but not that day.
So I didn't play soccer in middle school or high school.
Damn it.
That's what I said.
Damn
Yeah.
it. Julien was right.
And I definitely played Bruno Mars for my piano recital.
I just
Awesome.
figured the soccer thing is a little racist.
Yeah.
So I had
And my
to-
car did get stolen. That's cool.
I think that's so cool that you played piano. So like that seems like such a hard thing to learn. I've never tried, so maybe I don't know, maybe it's not, but it seems like it would be super hard.
It's kind of hard. I mean, it's like anything. It's not, anybody could do it. Literally anybody. Anybody listen to this. If you got fingers, and even if you don't, you probably figure it out. You know what I mean? Like it's not that hard. The hardest part is the actual like act of playing it. That takes the longest. It's not the hardest part. The hardest part is learning how to read music.
Right.
If you learn, the cool thing about piano is that when you learn how to play piano, you can learn all the other instruments really easy. Like that's kind of like the base. It's kind of where everybody writes. Even like a lot of hip hop artists start with a piano, like with a keyboard, and you write music because the way that the keys are set apart will be like. Obviously, if you don't understand it, you won't get it. But like the way they're set apart is you'll have a whole step, half step. As far as from white key to black key to white key to black key, white key to white key, whatever, however it goes. It's very specific, and that's like universal the way music is written. So on the piano, it's like the easiest way to get out a melody and to have it be transcribable to any instrument, and then they'll read it even however you wrote it, even using the keys. So you give it to a trumpet player, they'll read it and they'll understand the notes and be able to play them exactly on trumpet the way you played it on the piano.
Interesting. That's cool.
Some music theory today.
Yeah, that was
Boring.
dude. Tell me about it.
I almost interrupted him. Like, shut the fuck up. Like,
Should've. No,
Unless
but
I
dude,
look over there and you're wearing a goddamn conductor's outfit.
yeah, no, dude,
conductor's hat. That's like trains.
that was. Yes, you idiot.
Fucking
Conductors
music
don't wear hats.
Music
There's a
conductors don't
musical
wear hats.
Well, yeah, I know they don't. I didn't say hat. I said outfit.
You said hat.
I didn't.
I
We can
swear
play
you
it
said
back.
hat.
We'll play. I'll put $50 on the fact that I said outfit.
Wow.
It's not that deep.
Okay. That's fair, but I swear
No,
I
but
heard hat.
I remember it being in high school.
not that deep.
I was super into music, and I took music theory. I was like, oh, I'm gonna do something with music when I graduate. This is what I'm gonna do. That's what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I took music theory. Music theory is one of the hardest classes I've ever taken. Like harder than calculus, harder than physics. It was by far the hardest class I took. It was ridiculous. Like the rules, and there's like so much math and equations that go. It's wild.
Yeah, they only offered like AP music theory at my school. Like they didn't have a regular one, so I just took that, and I was like,
Impossible to understand.
Right.
You have to have
probably
some
got a
knowledge.
D. That was like the only class I got a D in.
Yeah,
And
I remember
I
I
was
took
good at music.
I took they divided it by what's it called? By semester, not semesters, but like by half the year. So like
Quarter?
Yeah. So they would divide it up. You do like 1, 2, and first quarter and second quarter, and then like that throughout the year. So you'd be like music theory 4 by the end of the year, but it still was only like the introduction to music theory, and then like music theory 101, literally.
Damn,
All right, Rashod, your two truths and a
Yeah,
lie.
it's fantastic.
a lie.
Okay. First time I was on stage, I was 6 years old. I played basketball in high school, and shit, this game is hard. This game is hard. Shit. Damn. Yeah. First time I was on stage, I was 6 years old. I played basketball in high school, and I never went to prom. Well, high school prom. So.
Okay.
I'm gonna say the basketball one's the lie.
Yeah, same.
I say the prom.
Yeah, basketball's a lie.
I cheated though. Because earlier I was like, "Did you play any sports in high school?" He was like, "No, I played basketball." But
It was a dead giveaway. It was a dead giveaway.
Damn, I forgot of that.
Yeah.
So, hold on. So tell us the story. How did you get on stage at 6 years old?
Yes.
Well, it wasn't really comedy related. It was rapping related.
Oh shit, dude.
Because I wanted to be a rapper, as all most black kids and growing up in the hood. You know, rapping or basketball.
You said it, buddy.
Yeah, and I was 6 years old. It was like in the basement of a laundromat, like real true shit. And I was going through songs, and I wanted to get on stage. You know, I was like, man, I want to get on stage. I want to get on stage. I'm a young kid, want to get on stage. And then it was a song, Juvenile, Back That Ass Up. And I did the song, and I got like a standing ovation.
Wait, did you like bleep yourself? Like censor yourself?
Yeah, I did.
That's all, dude. I
Recreate
would
that
100%
right now.
give a 6-year-old a standing ovation if they got up and fucking
did.
did that.
That's a true story.
amazing.
That's
a true
hilarious.
That's
story.
awesome.
That's
That's
so
a true
funny.
story.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
6 years old.
Yeah.
Back that ass up.
Yeah, back that thing at the time, back that thing up.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. All right,
That's awesome.
your
What
turn.
you got, Julien?
All right, let's see. I've done cocaine. I lost my virginity with the girl's mom in the room. And I'll be 22 in June.
I'm gonna say lost virginity.
I'll pull up his Facebook real quick.
Right. I'm like,
Lost virginity with the girl's mom.
I'm like, well, one of these is fact checkable.
Yeah.
Right.
You know
True.
what though? I'm gonna go Coke. I don't think you've done Coke.
Yeah, same. I don't think you've done coke.
I have. The last
Get
one's
him.
a lie.
The last one. So you lost your virginity with the girl in the room.
With the girl's mom in the room.
Girl's mom in the room. Yeah, she has
So
to
this
kind of
is
be in the
this
room.
is a story that I've been wanting to tell on stage. I haven't written the joke out fully, but it's like one of those hotels that have like a double room. You know, there's like a door in between.
Yeah.
And so like the girl's mom like got the hotel, and she didn't want us to sleep in the same bed, but then the girl convinced her, obviously, and so like she slept in the other room, we slept in the room. So when her mom went to sleep, we're like, okay, let's fuck, but like let's be really quiet because she's like right across the way.
Nice.
Damn, nice.
That's funny.
That's crazy.
That's awesome.
Bold move. Bold move.
I lost my virginity on prom night. So stereotypical.
I lost my virginity when I got married. Do you guys know that?
I didn't.
I had sex till I got married. That's right.
Damn.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not surprised.
That's right.
I wanted to be really
Good
surprised.
fucking Christian boy or something.
Yeah.
100%.
The boy on a bicycle over here says not surprising.
That's right. Allah loves me.
I think Rashod lost his virginity to that snow bunny. Fucking honey boo boo. That's a police
Yeah.
raped him.
I was worried. I was legitimately worried that Rashod wasn't gonna have lips the next day. She was gonna suck them right off his face.
She pretty much did.
That was awesome.
She pretty much did. I didn't know. I forgot. I thought you was like left, but you was still there.
Oh no,
We were watching
all
you,
there.
dog.
We were all there when you were on the dance floor.
It's like I was gonna
Hey,
leave.
she just started dancing on me and shit. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh man,
That's funny.
Yeah, that's.
I really regret not going. I heard that story from everybody. I was like, damn it. Dude.
Yeah, people still talk
The
about
one
that.
night I didn't go.
It was a good show too.
It was.
yeah.
You guys have any good shows coming up?
Only the one that we're all on.
The comedy competition
Yeah.
at Detox. That's next Saturday, right?
Yeah, 26.
Oh shit! All of us are on it. Yeah.
Yeah, all of us
four
on
of us
there.
are on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me just realizing that I'm on that.
Yeah.
I forgot about it. I totally forgot.
You're in the fucking group chat that just got
I
sent
know.
out like
No,
2 days
100%.
ago.
I know. I know.
But just like you don't fucking check the group chat that we have, the three of us.
fair.
That's
true.
fair. You're correct. Well, no, that I did check it. I checked it every time, but every time I got to it, y'all had already answered the question, so I didn't respond. And then
That's fair.
And then I was like, oh man, I'm just kind of lurking in this chat. I haven't said anything.
I think that'd probably be like the first competition show where I don't give a damn who wins.
It's a good. I like everybody that's on the.
Right? It's
show.
like shit. It's like
I think I like everybody that's on the show.
Yeah, I'm not super confident in going in. I'm like, Jesus, dude.
yeah, it's like a lot. I was like, fuck.
I think that I'm not worried about going past the first round. Like I would like to. I think that I
Right.
could,
We
but
would-
like
I think, and that's almost kind of like the key, right? Like, if you're just like, I'm just gonna have a good time,
Right.
then like,
if you're not putting stress on yourself,
Yeah, you
you're
probably do
probably
well.
gonna have a better set too.
Cam and Brian are gonna fucking murder.
Oh my god.
yeah,
Dynamic duo.
yeah, they're gonna do pretty well.
Exactly. That's why. Oh shit. Damn.
I'm excited.
Damn.
I'm excited for that show too because it's gonna let us like kind of get a peep. It's a great lineup.
It is.
So regardless of whoever wins or gets to go on, like that show is gonna be fire. That's gonna be a good show to go
It's gonna be
to.
a good show.
I agree.
I'm excited for that. Then were you guys on the benefit show we did in Lincoln?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are all on that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I rode with you guys.
Oh, that's right.
I work with Jake and Ross.
Not that forgettable.
I was like,
I was really asking because I didn't remember if Rashod was on, and I didn't want to be like,
I'm probably gonna ride with you guys next time.
Nah, bro. We'll see how this podcast goes. We'll decide.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
This podcast is Squid Games.
Eliminated. Yeah,
The black guy gotta die. Shit,
Yeah.
died first.
I mean, statistically, there's more of you in this room, so
statistically, if we're in a horror movie,
yeah,
I'm gonna survive.
yeah,
You're the minority in this group.
yeah.
100%.
Statistically, Brent will let us know what happens in the end. That's
There's never even any Mexicans in the fucking movie, so
That's true.
you're just like behind the camera.
Okay.
That's true. If we're gonna talk about fairness and representation, I mean, I feel like there's like no Hispanics
for sure,
anywhere.
ever. No, they just look right over. They're like, they got the food trucks.
And I've been
Got the food trucks.
Yeah, they're good.
I've been writing this fucking joke that I wrote today about like, you know how like HBO Max and like Netflix and stuff like that has like different categories where we'll say like strong black lead, something like that. I was thinking like there's like probably some like white families that are just like, oh, we need to watch like a strong black lead movie today.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, dude, that reminds me of the. Have you guys all watched Shane Gillis' special on YouTube?
yeah.
I haven't watched that.
Okay, so there's a bit that he does about having a Fox News dad, right? How his dad watches Fox News,
Yeah,
so people
yeah.
think he's racist or whatever. He's like, but if you think about it, he makes this argument. I won't ruin the bit, but he makes an argument of saying like, having a Fox News dad, while it has its downsides, it's better than having an MSNBC dad. And he's like, because an MSNBC dad will be like at the dinner table, like, we need to talk about better ways to have renewable energy, like at the dinner table, and then you'll be like, ew, I didn't know dad was gay. You know what I mean? But that reminds me of like, that's the same dad who goes, after dinner, we need to watch a strong black lead movie. You know what I mean? Like, there's only white family doing that for sure.
like I gotta find like ways to punch it up, but I've been like really picking on liberals lately, and a lot of the jokes I've been writing.
Oh,
just 'cause
careful,
it's
Rob
funny.
Schneider.
Yeah.
Easy there, Rob Schneider.
Not even influence from him, just like
I
in general,
know.
just like the like I added a little bit, like that's kind of a bit I added to like my favorite thing about being black is the fact that I don't have to be offended when people are racist towards me.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I would like go into the fact that like, you know, liberals are actually more racist inadvertently than like conservatives. Like the only difference between their racism is that I respect a conservative's racism because they'll call me the hard R. No, like I respect that more than this new school racism.
You know, you can make a comparison to how people make that joke about how like, I'm so straight that I fuck dudes because dudes fuck women and I like women. Like that same type of like backwards ass logic that makes people like, oh, I'm not racist. I treat black people better than I treat white people. It's like, yeah, well, that's fucking racist. Like,
That's still racist. Yeah.
yeah, that's funny, man. I guess I kind of. Oh, you got to meet Mark Norman. Is there any like gems you got out of that?
Not really. I didn't really like talk to him too much about comedy, unfortunately.
He was kind of busy too.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I kind of like, since I work there, I kind of just like finagle my way. As I do to like all the comedians that come through there, I kind of just find a way to talk to him. I got to talk to his feature a little bit. His feature was really
Andy
cool.
Fiore.
Yeah, he was really cool.
Yeah, dude. I was very, very you know they did a good job when you're halfway through their set or they're getting close to the end, and my first thought was like, damn, I hope he says his name again, because I had forgotten his name.
Yeah.
But he was doing
Every
very
time.
well, and I was like, fuck, I hope this dude says his name again, because I like this dude. And he was very funny.
He was good.
Yeah.
And you could definitely tell. It's funny because you can see comics that work together a lot, right? You could hear Mark Normand in him, like the way he was delivering his jokes and a little bit of his cadence and stuff like that. Like he was still original, but you can tell that like it's still very similar.
Mark Normand is one of my favorites to watch and to listen to, because he is so unique. Like people lump him in with a bunch of comics and they look over his style a lot because it's similar to a one-liner.
Right.
It's not really a one-liner, but it's got some similarities. But to me, he might be the most unique New York comic, because who else does jokes the way Mark Normand does jokes? You know what I mean? Like literally, like set up punchline, set up punchline, set up. Like it's back to back to back to back. It's
He's
wild.
so quick. Like that's one thing I was like observing when I was watching him. I was just like, it's so quick that these laughs like they kept coming. So whereas like he had to like stop, but like it was like weird like the timing of it, like
The other
watching
thing-
some kind of freak of nature. type of
Exactly.
thing.
The other thing to me was like, dude, I wonder what his notebooks are like, because I have notebooks of jokes and they're not that full because I have long bits usually, like minute, 2 minute bits. But he has like the longest bit he did might have been 40 seconds. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just like joke, I imagine.
And there's no fat either. It's so
No,
tight.
it
I mean,
just-
it was, and it was funny, something that I've been really working hard on is because I'm very similar to you. I've got longer bits and I do a lot of story jokes and stuff like that, is trying to shorten and be like, okay, what's funny? And then what can I take out? Like kind of stuff like that. And I think that's like halfway through his set, like I found myself just like not even really paying attention to the joke, but like how he spoke and everything was just so concise. Like he didn't waste any words.
I noticed that you can draw, and I've been looking at ways to do this because I've seen a couple. There's a piece of material that I watched from Patrice O'Neill where he does the same thing. Well, he'll say something, and then he won't, and people will laugh, and then he won't say anything, and people will laugh harder because he's not saying anything.
I was just watching Akash with Joe Rogan.
I was just thinking that was what I was just thinking of. Yep.
And I've done that like before, not necessarily as intense, just like kind of like study like certain things. Like I studied Martin Lawrence's "He's So Crazy," I think it is.
Oh yeah.
Like I was just like watching that, like because he's really funny. He's like really underrated as a stand-up.
He
in my
definitely
For sure.
is. He
Yeah,
definitely
100%.
is.
Yeah, I remember Rogan always talks in his podcast about how when Martin Lawrence was Martin Lawrence, he always had to like go up right before him or right after him.
Oh yeah, he said that
Right after
Mitzi
him.
used to make him follow
Yeah.
Martin Lawrence anytime Lawrence was there.
Yeah, but what I was gonna say was with Mark Normand, I noticed that as well. I don't remember what the joke was, but it was something super dark and like offensive, obviously, but it was hilarious. So he said the joke, and then he like grabbed his notebook and was like, and like people were started to laugh, and he was like, "Is that right?" And he's like just like looking at his notes and just kind of doing this, and it's just the room like slowly just exploded into laughter. It was crazy. I was like, holy, like I couldn't believe the amount, because I've seen people do that as well. Like I was kind of just trying to wasting time, or not even wasting time, but like covering for the fact of whatever they just said. They want to let it linger. They don't know how to do it. And like he kind of did it that way. And you could just hear it was like a small laughter, and it just grew crazy.
It was like an intentional awkwardness they had.
Yeah.
It's really weird because it's like charisma, like guised as like awkwardness.
Yeah. Mark Normand is one of my faves, man. He was great.
I had never seen his stand-up before this weekend, but I had seen him on like podcasts. Like I just seen him on Ari Shaffir's podcast, and I was like, this dude's pretty funny.
Yeah. One of the things me and Brent were talking about that I thought was super interesting was that how long did he do? An hour? probably for us.
Yeah.
He did an hour, and he did probably like 45 minutes of bangers. Like just like literally the way he writes jokes is just punch. It's like almost one-liner. So he just did nothing but bangers for 45 minutes, and then the last 15 minutes he just tried shit out. He just like did joke, and you could tell it was jokes that weren't ready yet. But he was just like, let's try this one out, and he would do it, and he'd get kind of a laugh, and he'd notice like the one that didn't hit hard at all. He was like, "Give me a week." He's like, "Give me a week, and that one will be ready." You know, and one thing that I guess what was your kind of take on the way he was able to do those jokes that weren't ready yet?
I love for like just as somebody who's trying to get better at comedy, it was nice to see him do that. So like that's his open mic, right? Like he's not going to open mics and stuff. Like that's how he works his stuff out. And it was awesome to be able to see like the one that really the one that he said, that'll be better in a week. It was very wordy. Mm-hmm. Like for him, especially for him, right?
Yes.
And that was one that didn't land as well, and I was just like, oh, like it clicked in my head, right? But then also to be like, oh, like these guys write shitty jokes too, like that they need to work on, right? Like everything they write down isn't fucking gold. They have to work on it.
Yeah.
And it was nice because it's like obviously we're nowhere close to that yet, but to know that like, oh, okay, we all go through the same struggles, and that part never gets easier.
Right. Yeah.
I just wonder, like, how early into, like, his, I don't know, maybe tour he was, because like I wonder like how like some of those start off, like when he first starts his tour, if like most of those are rough, or if he has like 30 minutes and then the back 30 minutes
I'm
is
sure
like rough.
I'm sure there's like a little bit of both, right? I would imagine that he polishes some material that till it's like really really good and then uses that for a while. But you got to also remember that he a month ago, 2 months ago dropped the Netflix special
stand-ups,
so his whole 30 minutes was gone. Like a 30-minute chunk of his material was gone, so he has to write new material.
Right.
So he had like a solid put it up against anybody's comedy 45 minutes. But
that's what he said when he started too.
Right.
Because he said when he started, he was like, hey, said something about like
he came
some
up
of
with
these
his
jokes
paper.
maybe a little he put his set list down and he was like, hey guys, I know I got my set list here, but I tell you what, like I know my special came out, and he's like, I didn't want to do the same 30 minutes for you that you could just watch on Netflix. So he was like, here we are, and then just banger.
Yeah,
It was so good. And it was probably, I was paying attention, it was probably 35 minutes before he glanced at his set list.
Yeah.
Before he like glanced down and was like, which one is next?
That was incredible, man. It's one of those where you're like, God damn, like this is what this dude does. You know what I mean? Like professional.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know
You
what I mean?
guys see Miss Pat's new special?
I haven't yet.
I heard about it.
I haven't been able to sit down and watch it. I want to sit down and watch it in one sitting. I don't want to like stop.
Yeah,
So
you guys gotta check that out.
I might watch that tonight, actually.
I gotta check out her show too.
I'm gonna check Miss
Her
Pat
show's good.
and the person you just talked about.
Mark Norman.
Mark
Yeah.
Norman.
Mark Norman has, if you go on, it's, and I think it might only be 25 minutes. I think the special on Netflix, that one's fire. It's so good. It's so good.
You guys like Ali Wong?
Oh yeah, Baby
She just
Cobra is one of my
Yeah,
favorite
she just dropped a
specials.
special today.
Did she really?
Oh yeah, that's Mm-hmm.
Nice. Yeah, her Baby Cobra special. I loved that one.
Brilliant.
That's so good. Who's your favorite comedian, Rashad?
Favorite
Or
comedian?
top three? Your
Top three.
favorite or top three?
I know the answer to his favorite comedian. It's fucking ridiculous.
Cat Williams. Fuck y'all. Cat Williams.
Cat Williams.
Stop
Cat
kidding, dude. I'm joking.
Williams. Cat Williams.
Racist.
Dave Chappelle, and I'm gonna go with Eddie Murphy.
Ooh, I did love some vintage Eddie. Remember,
Yeah.
remember Red Leather Suit Eddie? Oh,
Jesus.
that one was such a fire
Jesus.
special. I can't remember what the name of it was, but yeah.
Delirious.
Yeah. Oh, those are all solid.
What about you guys? Julien, what's your favorite? Or top three, I guess.
That's hard, but I'd say that Patrice O'Neal, rest in peace, he's probably in my top three. Burr, obviously, and Joey Diaz for sure. That dude's a murderer.
What about you, Brent?
Shit. You know what? Ralphie for me is in my top three. I loved Ralphie May.
Joe Rogan.
I like.
I don't
Joe,
think he's
but
anybody's
no.
top three.
I mean, you look like him, but
I do. I look like his fat body double.
I was gonna.
I do his stunts.
I was gonna post on Facebook like, I accept your apology. I was gonna do that. I thought about it. I'm like, I thought about it.
The funniest thing you ever
Oh my
posted.
god. if it wouldn't get me murdered, how funny would it be for me to like recreate that compilation they did of Joe Rogan, but it's like me just like the exact verbatim, just dropping the N-bomb.
Oh my goodness!
Like when it was Joe. I don't know.
Do you guys know Luis Gomez? He's with
Heard of
like
him,
Legion
yeah.
of Skanks.
Yeah,
Legion
yeah.
of Skanks.
Yeah.
He posted on Twitter the day the whole Rogan video came out. He was like, because everybody was posting that I stand with Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And he posted on Twitter. He's like, I stand with Joe Rogan's compilation video.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Did you see Tom Segura's post on Instagram?
Yeah, did you guys see it?
No.
I didn't see
He
it.
posted a picture. It was Joe Rogan, Segura, and Chappelle, and he goes like, "Here's a picture of me, Rogan, and a black."
The funniest thing ever.
Yo, dude.
So okay, well that leads me to my second, like in my other top three. Tom Segura is in my top three. I
Oh,
love
yeah, I forgot about
Tom,
him.
and like I feel like that's who I model like my stand up off of the most because I have more stories and I like to move around a little bit. And
What's your favorite of his specials?
I can't remember the name of it, but it's the one with Dr. Dickhead in it.
Ball? No, it's not Ball.
No, it's mostly stories.
Mostly
I think.
stories.
Yeah.
Mostly stories. Where he's still really chubby.
Yeah, and then that's the one where he's like, his doctor is like an asshole to him. He's like, your muscle enzymes are off the chart.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I'm in really good shape.
was
And he's
funny.
like, it's not a good
One of my
thing.
favorite bits of his is bikes.
Yes, yeah, that one too.
My favorite Tom Segura special is Disgraceful.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because
too.
there's a joke in there that only people who speak Spanish understand. And I don't even remember the joke anymore, but I remember it being fucking hilarious
Yeah.
and being the only person laughing because I was watching with some friends, and I was like, he's talking about people who tell him that they speak Spanish because they took Spanish in high school. And he's like, you don't speak Spanish. He's like, I played football in high school and the Broncos aren't taking a look at me this week. You know what I mean? And he's like, no, I speak. They're like, well, no, I speak Spanish. I took it in high school. They're like, no, your Spanish sucks with the capital M for mierda. And that means like, it just means shit in Spanish. But it was unexpected, for him to say anything in Spanish. And the fact that it's a hilarious word already in Spanish it made me laugh so hard.
Would you ever do stand up in Spanish?
100%.
So like,
can see you do
if somebody like put together like a show, like if there was more like Hispanic comedians, would you like?
Oh, I wouldn't do it like that.
How would you do it?
If it was a Hispanic comedian show, I would not do that. No, I'm no interest in that.
I'm just saying, like if there was like some funny dudes that like came from out of town. Like,
Yeah,
not,
I
like,
guess.
locals.
Yeah, I would try. I wouldn't want to do it right now. I wouldn't want to. The way that I'm kind of looking at it too is kind of the way Segura is doing it. Like, because Segura is doing stand up in Spanish, like touring in Spanish, which is crazy. But like, look at what level he's at before he decided to do that. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying like I'm ever going to be at that level, but I'm saying like I'm not anywhere near now. So like, I would probably for sure wait till I'm in a better position as far as my ability, even just in general.
Right.
But you could also do like the Gabriel Iglesias, do like the Spanglish, kind of like bring in some of your culture to the bits, because then it's just like you're giving us a piece of you, in a way.
Yeah, I would do that, but that's not who I am. Like I don't speak that way in general.
Gotcha.
I'll speak Spanish and I'll speak English, but I don't ever do Spanglish. Like very rarely do I do that. So if I were to do that for a bit, it would feel disingenuous to me. That's kind of where I talk about the whole thing about how I don't like doing a ton of bits about being Hispanic, because yes, that is who I am 100%, but I want to be relatable to everybody. Right. And I feel like I'm just trying to find a balance between being me and like giving you the perspective of that I have, right, but also not putting on this persona of like, oh, I'm this guy, I'm you know what I mean? Because and I'm not saying Gabriel Iglesias does that, because I think that is who he is. Like, right, he is that guy. Sure. So like, but I'm not that guy. So when I've had multiple people ask me that, like friends that know that I do comedy, they're like, oh, you should do literally the same thing. They're like, oh, you should do it in like Spanglish, like throw in Spanish here and there. It's really funny. Gabriel Iglesias does it. I'm like, it is funny, but that's just not who I am.
So who do you think you are?
What do you mean?
I'm just playing. Like as a comedian, like what's like your style that you like thus far? How would you describe your style?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I'll ask everybody the same question.
I don't know. So I like, you know what I've learned? I don't know if it's my style, but what I enjoy the most in comedy is if I can get on like a little bit of a rant. If I'm doing a bit, because I'm working on this bit right now. I sent it to Brent the other day where I just get this subject and then I just kind of start going on this subject of how stupid it is and why do we even have this, and like this is so dumb. This is just like this. And when I can kind of get going on that, and that's kind of my style, I try to do that. So if I can get going on that, I think, me personally, I consider myself, that's when I'm the funniest. Right. When I can kind of get going on a little bit of a rant. And if I can take that rant, because like that's kind of what I've done with this bit that I'm working on now. Mm-hmm. I recorded myself ranting about it. And then I've kind of gotten a little bit of help from Brent and from Rachel and a couple other people. Just kind of taste like, this is not necessary. This is not necessary. And saying me too, listening back to it, finding the things that I think like, that's just extra. It was just part of the rant. It doesn't need to be in there. Doing that, I think that's what I'm trying to achieve.
So like just kind of observational, like you're observing something and then you're like ranting about something that you see that you don't necessarily like, or
yeah, kind of, but it's kind of about anything. It's like, so like the rant I'm doing right now is about sea turtles. You know what I mean? Like it's not even, I've never observed sea turtle. I saw a documentary, mm-hmm. and there was something that happened in the documentary and I was like, fuck that. I was like, no, dude, that's retarded.
But you're observing what you saw.
So kind of observational, but I also enjoy like trying to find a very like clever joke. Right. But I find now that the at least for me, the most clever jokes I can write are usually very short. Right. Like they're almost kind of similar to what Mark Norman does. Very short jokes.
What about you, Brent? How would you describe your style?
I have no idea, man. That's what I'm struggling with right now, actually. Like I've been like on a, like trying to find that identity for like a month or so, and like I feel like my joke writing isn't, like I'm still trying to write, but it's been slowing down. What I started doing is actually to try to figure it out, I started like just long-handing mm-hmm. stories about my life and like almost like journaling a little bit, and trying to like find the funny out of that and figure out like fucking who am I? Like that's exactly what I'm trying to figure out right now. I mean, I'm the most me when I can be animated, semi-loud, and just like energetic. Like mm-hmm. that's me in general. It's loud, energetic, and animated. So those are the types of jokes I like to do. But what I found with that is I can do there's a wide range of I can do clean jokes that way. I can do super dirty jokes that way. So now it's trying to find that identity of like what jokes am I really good at, I think. I don't know.
Yeah. I part of just to what you said, towards the end of that podcast with Akash Singh and Rogan, they talk about a very good way to write, because Rogan asked how does he write jokes, and Akash goes, he's like, I can only write on stage, right? And in my head, first of all, I was like, god damn, like I never write on stage, like it's hard for me to write on stage. It is. But what Rogan challenged him on, he's like, there's nothing wrong with writing on stage. He's like, do you? He's like, but don't like write off writing. He's like, because, and Akash's argument was like, well, it just feels like dishonest if I'm like, I'm going to write a joke. And he's like, don't do it that way. And this is kind of something that I'm just trying to do now. Rogan told him, he's like, don't do it that way. Just write about something. Like in your thought, in your voice, in your head, write whatever you're thinking about. Like have a topic, like let's say cameras or sea turtles, and just like start writing about sea turtles in your head, and then you're starting to get the thoughts going about sea turtles. And you're getting them down on paper, and then the funny starts coming on its own because it's you.
Right.
So like you're starting to find the funny, and then you're gonna go back and scan it and see where the gold is, and you kind of polish that up.
Yeah. And I've noticed. So the one thing that I have written, and I haven't. Well, I guess I read it to you. I guess Noe's heard a little bit of it. Is I sat down and I wrote this like basically semi-short story, and it's all puns about fast food restaurants. Yeah. Like and like the end of the world and the Terminator like stuff. And and so like I wrote it, and I think it's something I can bring on stage eventually, but it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of refinement. Oh yeah. But it's like I chuckled my whole way through it.
But you know what? Sorry to interrupt you. But I think that's definitely you. Like when you were reading that to me, it was just you talking. Like it was you telling me a funny story in your voice, or like a funny idea.
Right.
And part of it, like obviously it's not even done yet. Like when you read it to me, I was like, there's a couple parts you don't need. I gave you a couple notes.
Yeah.
But I was like, I liked it because it's you. Like that is your voice.
Right.
So there is something like special about that.
Some of my favorite bits of yours are the ones where you're telling a story, like the story that you did for my show.
Yeah, the pizza one.
I like when you like do the stories because like your stage presence and like the way you get animated and your charisma, it makes these stories like people like want to like listen to it.
They're involved.
It's just all about like cutting down the fat because once you figure that out, some of those stories are fucking gold.
That's the key to that one, right? So I hosted the showcase last week.
Yeah.
And I ate shit for 6 fucking minutes straight. Just
I thought you did pretty decent.
Oh man, I didn't feel like I did. Maybe and I always tell everybody like the same shit I always tell everybody else. I'm like, you're never as bad as your worst set. You're never as good as your best set. Like, I gotta remind myself that. But it was pretty rough. But the reason I think it was rough is because I went into that and I did the pizza bit, and it wasn't ready. And I was like, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. Somebody was like, you should do that one. I was like, yeah, I think you're right. And so I did that one and then my sandwich joke. But the... you
haven't done that one in a while.
Yeah. And I'm trying I'm trying to bring it back because it'll probably be one of my Clash ones. But so... It was just, as I was saying it, I was like, this is too wordy. And like people weren't laughing and I was like, fuck. It's like, oh no. But I powered through. I tried not to let it affect my energy. But then the problem with that is that joke landed so flat that even my sandwich joke barely got any laughs. Yeah. And that one always does pretty well.
Right.
Like that's the pull out of the back pocket one normally when stuff's not going right. But so
sometimes with like stories, it's like, it's hard to find the balance between like cutting out fat. Because like with like open mics, I think we were talking about this maybe like last week. You only get like 5 minutes for an open mic, But with like a show, you might get like 10, 20 minutes. And it would like might have been better for you to keep it like a long way, as opposed to cutting it down, because like an open mic you want to hit the beats quicker than you would, because you can set up things with like a show with like 10 minutes like much better. So it's like really hard to find the balance between that,
and I think the fine balance is that like you've got to have enough information to lay the groundwork for the joke, right? But it's like what is groundwork and what isn't, right? Where if I can take 4 words out of a 10-word sentence and it still says the same thing, like, and layering in consistent tags throughout too, right. And that was something I think that I was trying to lay too much groundwork, and it was like a minute before I got my first laugh, and I was like, fuck, that was way too long. And now these people are like, oh fuck.
Some of my favorite like stories are like when somebody like starts to tell a story but then they like branch off on something real quick just to set up a tag. Like Joey Diaz and Tom Segura do that really well. Like they'll be telling a story and they'll use like like metaphors or similes compared to something, then get right back to the story. It's just like, oh shit, he was telling a story, even though he like just said something really funny that wasn't necessarily related, but it was still related.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
For sure.
No, I do. Actually, that's something that I'm trying to work on. That's funny you said that's something I'm trying to work on right now. I've got a joke that like has 3 different examples, but I want those 3 different examples to be 3 different bits. Right. And then at the very end, it ties back to the original joke, so it's a little bit of a callback. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to do.
Comedy is such an art form. There's so many different ways you can write jokes and just different joke structures. It's crazy.
What would you say, Rashod, is your style?
Wow. My style, my style be all over the place. Sometimes I could do one-liners. Sometimes I could do storytelling. Sometimes I could just go in there and just talk.
What do you like to do the most?
What I like to do, probably one-liners. Probably like to do one-liners.
Yeah, you got some pretty famous ones out there. At least as far as I've seen. Yeah. It's interesting the way like everybody can
still trying to figure out who I am, but
that's just part of it though. Yeah. We all are. I think
we haven't mastered that yet. So
I think another thing that I found interesting from that podcast we were talking about what you just mentioned was that Akash was saying that he's talked about how long he's been doing comedy and whatnot, and he was saying that at some point in comedy you stop saying the things that you think are going to be funny, because for like especially all of us, I would say right now we use comedy as a tool. Right. Like you're trying to achieve a laugh, so you use this joke as a tool to get a laugh, and there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously that's what comedy is, but at some point when you get to that level, you're no longer using it as a tool to get a laugh, but you're using it as something to make you laugh. Like you're making yourself laugh. And then when you learn the way to make yourself laugh and also portray that same humor to the audience and get them to see it from your perspective, then that's when you kind of break into another level, because you're not only are you just using it, but like you're making that art of like, this is funny to me. Right. It's who I am, but it's also funny to these people.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's tough, man.
It is.
What about you, Julien?
I mean, you guys all know that I'm kind of like, I guess you could say, like a shock / like edgier comic.
Yeah, you are.
Like,
I guess fair.
But I've been trying to like.
I'd book you at a church.
But like, you guys have been seeing some of my recent stuff. I've been trying to lean away from some of that. Like I still like edgy stuff, but I want to like dial it in a little bit.
Right.
But I've been talking to like a lot of like working comics, or even like Jason Regan, and I've been trying to find like more like personal like things to talk about my life that I think are interesting. Because like I didn't really talk about my life too much before in my like stand up. Like I would like occasionally I'd drop like little gems, but I'm trying to find like stories or just things that like you know are more me.
Yeah. I think that's something that I'm trying to do too. Is somebody told me that I needed to be more vulnerable on stage, and I think that's like a really good. Like I never really thought about it, but I was like, yeah, like that's how you win the audience. You know, that's how you win an audience, right? Like if you're vulnerable and honest, you know, for like 10 minutes, and you're laughing at yourself.
I had this thing like, oh, they gonna make fun of me, or they gonna, you know,
they
gonna use that against me, like shit.
Yeah, one of the things that I was told recently was just like, you're giving the audience a piece of like your perspective, because like anybody could tell like a lot of jokes, like anybody could just tell them, but to give audience like a piece of like jokes from your own perspective or the way that you see things, letting people step into your shoes even for just like 10 minutes is like very valuable like tool to have.
Yeah, and I think also too there's something to be said about getting the audience to trust you, right? So like if I can be vulnerable, I look like this, right? like
Joe Rogan.
I look racist as fuck some days with the way I dress, right? So like I need to be more vulnerable on stage so people understand who I am and where my heart is and where I come from. So that way when I say a joke, people are like, he's kidding, right? Like I think there's a lot of guys that'll get on stage and they'll say some stuff that they think is funny, but people will take that as like, oh, that's for sure how he feels. So I think being more open and vulnerable will not only help me on stage, but also like help me tell those little bit edgier jokes and allow the audience to laugh.
Right.
You know, that's kind of what I want to work on a little bit. Like you're saying, like get them to trust me first. Because like I said, I still like the edgy stuff. That's my thing. But I want to like be able to like build to it to where I can like lay something on. I'm like, okay, guys, we're friends, and then lay something like hard on them. Like, you know, like kind of like Mark Norman. Like he kind of like I don't want to say he started off like he kind of started off edgy-ish, but he like built up to like really where it was, and then you know.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's a good point too. And I think the other part of like being vulnerable on stage is, I would imagine at least, is because it just allows people to like be more at ease, kind of, because you're kind of giving them something. You're giving them something, so they're like, okay, like they're kind of paying attention, and not really paying attention, but they're almost more engaged with you because you're sharing something personal, and it doesn't have to be like, oh, I lost my virginity or whatever, but it's like something about you that they wouldn't otherwise know, but something basically you can't just Google. You know what I mean?
Good.
No, that was it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. One thing I was going to say is sometimes like the way I do stand up is like I'm having a conversation with the audience, because a lot of people, they're like, there's nothing wrong with like treating it like you're performing, but I find that for some people that's like a disservice to yourself. If you feel like you're performing, like you feel like this is like a job or like just something that you have to do, you know, as opposed to like, okay, I'm gonna get up there, I'm gonna have fun with this, I'm just having a conversation with the audience. Like the audience can feel when you're performing versus when you feel comfortable, you know. You can see it and you can hear it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too how comedy works, because it's different for different people too.
Right.
Because I know me personally, I've done it where I go up and I feel like I'm just talking and I have a good time, but I get off stage, but I don't get the reactions I'm expecting. And I'm like, whatever, I'm just having a good time. But I'll get off stage and like my energy is just not where it needs to be.
Right.
And when I'm doing that, when I'm kind of conversational, but if I just kind of click in that mentality of like, okay, let's just have high energies, go in here with good energy and like match the room, especially if somebody just did well before me. Let me match this energy so that I can keep them there or climb. It requires me to kind of have that switch of, okay, it's not, at least the way I see it, for me, it's not that it's a job or that I have to perform, but I'm just trying to keep the energy alive.
That also could just be like your personality. Like you're not necessarily the most like, you know, energetic type of person, but like an energetic person, like Brent, for example, like he's pretty like loud and white honky, you know, and so like he could do like the like what I was saying, just like have a conversation like the way you'd have a conversation with us. I don't know the way you do it, but I'm just saying
that's true point.
Just the way that he does it, he could have a conversation and it's still him. But for you might have to turn it up because you're a laid back dude. You know what I mean?
That's fair. That's a good point because that is kind of how you do it. You, at least when you talk, you are very animated with your hands and like moving around and like your face, and like I do that as well, but not the same way. And I think this is an interesting point that we're talking about, because for me, when I feel the funniest, like when you know how you're in the middle of a conversation, you say some shit, you're like, oh, that was funny, like in your head. The way for me that only happens when I'm kind of like going on about something, or not necessarily ranting, but like just in the moment of like, I'm giving you my raw thoughts on how I feel about this because you brought it up, and I'll say whatever I think, and sometimes I miss, you know what I mean? This is the way it goes. But like most of the times that I feel the funniest, that's where it is. So it's almost, for me, is what I'm trying to find a way to do is I'm trying to find a way to, yes, be conversational and have but also have high energy, but also tap into that part of me that kind of just goes off of the cuff, because that's very hard for me on stage. I've done it a couple times and it's gone okay, but I've also done it and it's gone not good at all. So I'm trying to find a way to still write my jokes the way I'm comfortable writing my jokes, but also kind of honing on that ability of keeping the high energy, but also kind of just going off the cuff a little bit and seeing what sticks. Yep.
What? Oh, you're gonna say something? Do you like ever like want to do like crowd work? Because I noticed that you're probably like someone who doesn't do it as much as like me, or even Noah doesn't do it a lot, but he kind of does some. I don't notice you don't do it a lot. Is that something like by choice or just kind of?
Yeah. So for me, like I probably need to work a little bit more, because I want to be able to shut hecklers down. I mean, that's really the only reason I want to use it for. But for me, I feel like if when I'm on a roll, it is like having a conversation with the audience, but it's a one-sided conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I want to steer the direction. And I don't know, it's just, and it may just be because it's not something that I don't know if I'd be super comfortable with. Right. But I feel like I'm giving the audience a chance to say, like, to derail my set.
Right.
And that's just because like I have like very pre-planned things that I want to do.
Right.
Personally,
so
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No.
Personally, I like it just because like even like at the Funny Bone, I'll see people like heckle like crazy, and then like you have to like get back to it at a certain point.
Right.
Like, and like to not look at your notes or anything, like at a certain point we're all gonna have to like, you know, be able to like be derailed and get back to it. Right. So sometimes I invite it a little bit for myself personally, because I'm like, okay, can I still keep this going? Can I still make it funny? No matter what happens, no matter what people start throwing shit at me, can I make it funny?
Right. I guess maybe when I said derailed, that's probably wasn't quite the right way to say it.
No, it was. I know what you meant.
I think it might be the right word,
because I'm good at improv. Like I'm taking improv right now. I like it. Like I've always been able to kind of come off the cuff. So like on the heckling side of things,
is it your idea or is it Dylan's idea for improv?
Oh, actually, Tyrell was like, hey, will you take this improv class with me? Because Rachel was teaching it and he wanted to take it. And I was like, sure, I guess.
I've always kind of toyed with the idea of doing it too. I think improv, not to interrupt your point, but I think improv kind of has that same connotation as like show choir. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a little bit.
People are like,
a little bit. But it's definitely, I've fucking loved it since I've been in it. I'm going to go through level 2.
Yeah.
For sure. But, it's helped me look at my jokes a little bit differently too. It's helped me kind of like, the more I get into it, the more you hear about theories in improv, a lot of it directly relates to stand up too. It's just you don't have scene partners and stuff like that. So kind of the way they think, they have this thing with like, they call it A to C thinking. So I tell you, I say car, and then you're like, okay, car makes me think of driving in the car with my dad makes me think of hunting. Okay. And then like that is the opportunity to essentially write in a callback, right? So the jokes start, you start talking about a car, you get into your dad and you hunting, and then it calls, it's just different ways to like organize thoughts.
That's a good point. Yeah. I always, we made this comparison before, but people do compare it to the way NFL players will do ballet to practice their footwork. It's not necessary, but it is a little like thing that you can do that is proven to improve you.
Yeah,
so that's kind of how I see improv.
It's all comedy.
It's not stand up. But at the same time, any form of like comedy lesson you could take,
Right.
Yeah, and I think also just any time on stage, right, to just get comfortable.
Right.
It was a big thing. And I think that's what I've liked even more about improv, is it puts me in so many uncomfortable situations. And it's like, okay, not only do I have to figure out how to get out of this uncomfortable situation, but I also have to try to like make sure it makes sense with what we've already laid down, and that hopefully it's funny.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. I definitely am going to do an improv class for sure, just to kind of get to hone that ability of like off the cuff, Yeah. Because for me, as far as crowd work, I'll do it here and there. I try not to invite it just because I also share the idea of Brent of it's not that I don't want to be able to respond to you, but it's that I kind of know, especially if I'm doing a show, I'll never invite it. Most likely, unless I have a bit that has to do with something that I need a crowd participation, because at least for me, like I've done these jokes enough to where I know they're funny, so like I don't need you to say something. You know what I mean? Like I figured it out.
I feel like at shows, it's like maybe mics aren't necessarily the place to do like crowd work, but maybe like a show would be, because it's like people are paying to be there. So like
if it happens,
yeah. But I'm just saying, like,
when you've got guys like just Rogan's buddy. Also hangs out with Mark Norman a lot.
Schultz.
Andrew Schultz. Yeah. There we go.
Oh yeah.
Is great at crowd work, and so is the other one, older guy. He's on Rogan all the time.
Ari
Shafir. Yeah, Ari's got some good crowd work too. I mean, there's guys that make their living on it, or half their set is. So like but it's a skill, and it's something that you have to be able to want to do. So I respect that too.
That's a good point too. And also, we were just talking about this with Keonis the other day about how there's certain rooms, particularly a lot of times like rooms that are predominantly black, where they don't want you to get up on stage and just like, you guys ever and then do a setup. They want you to interact.
Right.
So like there is instances like that's another thing I didn't really
bring the funny.
They didn't even I didn't even think about it that way, of like a lot of and not just black audiences, but a lot of times they want you to interact with them before you get into your material, because they don't want you to they don't want to know that you just come up here and like read your jokes. Basically, they want to know like a lot of crowds want to know that you are there, that you are funny. You didn't just write some funny shit. Like you as a person are funny, and being able to be funny in the moment is a big part of it.
That's kind of like my back to my conversation with the audience. Like with a black audience, like if you're just performing, like they might still like it, but like if you're engaged with them, just the vibe and energy is different in the room, right? So like everything just depends on the room.
You got to set the tone up and be like, hey, how's you doing,
Yeah, that's a good point.
No, and there is too. I mean, there's something to be said about that. I don't know if I've ever heard of like a Hispanic room. I don't know if that's a thing. Is there?
I bet you there is in LA.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
For sure.
And like, I guess I've never seen one. So like obviously like there's definitely a difference between a mixed room, a predominantly white room, and a predominantly black room.
I prefer mixed.
I'd rather, I prefer mixed or predominantly black if it was me, because they're just so much more like, I find black crowds to be so much more energetic as a crowd.
Yeah, energetic, but unforgiving. It could also be intimidating. Intimidating. I'm like, holy shit. Like,
and you know something that a lot of comics do that I guess, which is kind of crowd work that I do want to start doing more of, is writing jokes that have a particular, like, I describe somebody in the joke, and then they'll pick them out, like this person right here, like they'll pick them out in the crowd, right? Yeah. Not necessarily giving them a chance to respond, but it gets them involved, and everybody's like laughing, like, that is you.
Bro, you know who just did that in front of me? Don Seeger. So I did a show at Barnado a couple weeks ago, I think now, and he's doing this bit about somebody who looks like, it looks like a good Christian boy or something like that, and he's like kind of sound like you. And then he's like, yeah, he's like, you look like a youth pastor. Stand up real quick. And has this guy stand up. And he's like, everybody, look at this dude. And then he's like, the guy's like all awkward. He plays along. He stands up. He's all awkward. He's laughing. Everybody's laughing at him because he looks like a youth pastor.
Yeah.
And then he's just standing there. And then Don Sear talks a little bit. And he's like, oh yeah, you could sit down. You served your purpose. And then like, just kind of brushes him off.
Don Sear's funny, dude.
Oh my goodness,
I
man.
did the Comedy After Dark with him, and I do my ass eating bit, right? And I was right before him, and so then he comes up after me, and like the first thing he says is like, okay, so when he laid down on his back, I saw you look away, and I saw you look at him. Why'd you do that? And it was the funniest thing ever.
Yeah,
that is funny. Yeah, man, it's interesting, like the way to. Sorry, I interrupted your point though. My bad.
Oh, I don't even remember what we were talking about. We were talking about crowd work. I don't remember what we.
Yeah.
We got out when crowd work, then we got to improv, and then we got over to.
About like black rooms and Hispanic.
Oh yeah,
So,
I definitely There's just a different type of energy, but it is that. You're right when you're like, I don't want to say unruly is not the right word, but unforgiving. Like
Yes.
we're here to have a good time, and you better fucking show us a good time.
Exactly.
That's your job, right?
You better be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've been in when I went to Texas.
Topeka's, but Topeka's like that. Yeah.
Black crowds?
Yeah, there's a full black crowd.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Topeka cancer.
When I went to
you go down there.
When I went to Texas, I saw.
But he's quitting, so I don't know.
Yeah. When I went to Texas, I saw a comedy show at the Vulcan Gas Company, and it was a predominantly Hispanic crowd. So I think that would be the equivalent. And dude, I feel like Hispanic people just want to have a good time. Like they're not, because like you have a black crowd. If you're doing poorly, they'll let you know. Like they're gonna boo you. They're gonna. I feel like Hispanic crowds are gonna do that. I think they're just like, because from what I saw, everybody was just like, yeah, like even shit that wasn't that funny was like they were just like, yeah, it's good. They just try to hang out. You know what I mean? They just try to have a good time. At least that's what I can tell. Yeah. And like white crowd, but Hispanic crowds don't give a fuck. Like they laugh at anything. Mm-hmm. Where like if you're in an all white crowd, you can't make jokes with the N word. You can't make jokes about Holocaust. There's so many jokes you can't make. You know what I mean?
You know
Where,
what?
Like, that's not the case with Hispanic crowds.
You know what I think the difference then is too? Because like so predominantly white crowds, I think it has a difference between big city, small town. Because we went to Malvern and
that is a good point.
Crushed it. I think there's a different. I think there's a difference between people that live in the city, especially when you're in a diverse city, and they feel like they have to be as progressive as they can be, so they hold back laughing at certain things. Whereas if you're in an all-white redneck town, they don't give a. They're gonna laugh if it's funny.
The ironic part is that I've been thinking about today. I think that's my demographic of people that will really like my stuff. Like I've noticed that like the liberal whites don't like it. The fucking like rednecks, they love it. They come up to me after the show. They're like, "Oh, that was funny. That race shit you did, hilarious."
Yeah, I think there is something like, because I think here's the bad part, right? But not bad part, but here's the thing. I feel like that we all laugh at like really fucked up stuff. Like you'll make jokes. I have a joke about slavery and about like poking fun at it, and like it's fucked up, but it's funny, so I laugh at it and I'll make the joke. But those people also exist among white people, but those white people aren't allowed to laugh at that shit.
They're afraid to,
because they're like, oh, like you don't want people to think you're racist, and like that's funny because I don't even think about it. I don't think about people thinking I'm a racist. Because I know who I am. Like
because you're brown and you don't have to worry about it.
That is for sure part. No, that's definitely a part of it. With 100%, there is something to be said about that. Like without a doubt, there is a benefit to being not white, right? But like also, at least as far as comedy, there is. But like also, there's a part of me that like I know who I am, so I don't like. I'll say some wild shit, but that's not what I believe, so I'm good.
But that's another thing that's like hard about being white, that you have to think about if you're being racist. Like, did you guys hear Mark Norman's joke about that? Where like he was like thinking about different things that he would say to his black friend. Like he'd be like, "Oh, let's hang." Ah, shit.
Oh yeah. That was hilarious.
Like the fact that you guys even have to think about shit like that. Like maybe you don't, but like it's even like a thing that you have to think about.
That's what sucks, right? Like, cause like it or not, I do look like this. I'm a bald white man with a fucking beard, and I look like a redneck. And so like when I say some shit, people are pretty much always gonna assume that I meant it. in a bad way.
Yeah.
And like, whatever, boohoo, woe is me. Like, it's not a big deal, but it is something that, like, it's something that I got to think about. And that's the other reason that I was like, hey, I got to be more vulnerable on stage so people know who I am.
Yeah.
So that way, when I say some of these edgier things that are going to hit race or, you know, gays and stuff like that, they're like, he's fucking around. Like, it's okay.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is the value in that, too. Yeah, I never really thought about it a ton, but because I am brown, like I can make certain jokes and I don't really think about it because of that. Like, I think I will say I do. Me personally, I do believe that I mostly don't think about it because I know who I am, right. But also because I'm brown, so like people aren't going to challenge me on it. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah.
But you don't think about the fact you're brown, like you're saying.
Exactly.
Like,
that's kind of my point. Yeah, that's kind of my point.
There's no repercussions for like a lot of things that we say. There's no who's going to fucking check us.
Also, like the way I approach my comedy is because I've had people so when I first started doing comedy, we've talked about this before, I had people kind of try to like censor me as far as like, you shouldn't talk about that. Like, that could be offensive. You should avoid that topic. Oh, you need to do this. And I listened because obviously I was very new in comedy. I'm still very new, but like I had just started. Mm-hmm. So I listened to them and I didn't do certain jokes. And like now that I realize that I just need to be myself and that I know that I'm joking, so everybody else will figure out that I'm joking. Mm-hmm. Also, I'm on stage telling jokes. So like I'm joking. But that in itself is the reason why I can say whatever I want to say if it's a joke. And it almost 9 times out of 10, the things that people tell me that those people told me that I shouldn't talk about, once they're refined, are some of my best jokes, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. The problem for me with that is a lot of things that I want to say are way fucked up, like way more fucked up than the things I already do say. Mm-hmm. So it's like I got to find the balance between like, okay, I can't do that stuff yet, you know.
Right.
Like it's one thing if you're like established and like you're saying like wild shit, who's gonna stop you?
Right.
You know. But like if you're starting up, you're not gonna get anywhere. Like especially with some of the certain bookers in town. You
right.
know, if you're saying certain things, and it's
that's a good point too.
There's jokes that I've written where I'm like, oh, this is gonna crush, but I can't tell it.
Right.
I got a lot of those jokes, but I was like, I can't say it because motherfuckers will be like,
yeah. It's tough, man. But it's tough and it's not. It's like, it's tough because, yes, you do want to get booked. But me personally, there might be 1, maybe 2 people in Omaha that won't book you over shit like that. So, like, there's so many shows in Omaha. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, people think of Omaha as a small city when they're not from here. And it's not. It's relatively small. But as far as, like, comedy, there's a million. The Lincoln's right here. Des Moines right. Like, people book you. Like, it's not. If you're genuine to yourself and your priority is to be funny, then I think that's what matters.
Yeah, that's what matters. Yeah, and they book you.
Some people can't tell the difference. Not even just like the people that we usually talk about, but like even some like audience members, like because like we were talking about earlier, like the guilt or just like the, you know, like, oh, I don't know if I can laugh at that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that is like a strong thing. Like, you know, we're telling jokes. These are jokes. These are not always serious things that we feel, you know?
Yeah, there was something I read about one time on that exact topic that was talking about like comedy and giving the audience permission to laugh. And I think that ties in with, you know, being genuine, right? And being more vulnerable on stage and letting them see who you are. And then you tell a joke that's a little edgier and you tell it in a way that you almost say, it's okay. You can laugh at this, right? And then they start to go, oh, okay. And then they get, you know, you just kind of slowly ramp it up.
I also think that open mics are somewhat of a disservice sometimes because, like, when people are paying for comedy, some of the stuff that's never worked at an open mic, I might have did at a show and it fucking killed.
Right.
Or just, like, certain, like, new things or new tags I might have added that would never work at an open mic. It's just, like, you could do it at a show. People are paying to see this. They're going to laugh. They want to laugh.
The other part, too, is that I feel like with an open mic, let's say we go to the open mic tonight, you get 5 minutes. If you have material that's relatively edgy, it's going to be hard for people to laugh because you have 5 minutes to get them on your side and do your edgy shit. And within those 5 minutes, they got to go from like, oh, I don't know, to like, oh, it's fine, I can laugh at this. And then that whole set like resets for the next guy. Right. You know what I mean? So like, whereas when you're doing a show, if you're like an Andrew Schultz, you're doing 45 minutes to an hour, you got at least 15 minutes to like warm them up to like get them like, it's cool, man. Also, you have an opener, you have a feature track to kind of get them warmed up. By the point that when you're coming up to headline, you're coming into a crowd that's already warmed up. You got to do a little bit of warming them up. Maybe if you got some real dark shit, but like it's almost there to where they're ready to laugh. They're having a good time. Like you mentioned, it's a show, so people are more ready to laugh. I've noticed that as well. Like you will do way better on shows than you will at an open mic.
Right.
Because like the open mic is not necessarily the place to get big laughs. You want to see if stuff works.
You're doing reps.
Yeah, essentially it's
Doing
just
reps.
practice. Like I was saying, like you can't bomb at an open mic. It'd be like going to football practice and saying, "Oh, you lost." You know, all you're doing is practicing. And if the joke doesn't land, that's one thing. It's not necessarily a bomb.
Right.
Comedy is so subjective that it doesn't mean anything.
Right. I mean, my only, I guess, to challenge that a little bit, my only thing with that is that, like, I think we were talking about this last time. The only difference is that with comedy, you still have an audience. Like, you still do have people watching you. So it's not like you like the Chargers didn't practice in front of a stadium full of people. You know what I mean? Like they practice on their own. So like with comedy, you do have an audience every time. And at the end of the day, the goal is to make them laugh.
Right.
I think. Sorry, not to interrupt you. Sorry.
you're fine.
On that though, that exact analogy, I told that almost exact analogy you just told about it being like football practice, right? And then my comeback to your point would be those people in the audience are your coach.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Like,
right. Yeah, we're
that's
talking
your
about
coach,
that. Yeah.
right?
Because
And so I'm running plays in front of my coach, and my coach is either going to say, "Good play,
Bad play.
bad play."
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
and
yeah.
now you're right that we don't, that like those 7 people that were there may not be able to tell me if that joke is funny or not. Even if they don't laugh, that doesn't mean it's not funny. But if I do that for 4 weeks at an open mic in front of 7 people here, 10 people there, I can at least get an idea of like, okay, this is going to work on a show really well.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
there's
And then sometimes you hit just the right spot with a joke or with material that it does very well at an open mic, and you're like, okay, well, this is good for a show.
Yeah.
It also just depends on the type of show. There's certain shows, like I did a Hunter show in Lincoln, and it looked like a lot of the same material that I normally do, and it was like a college crowd. Did not fucking like, I got laughs, I got good laughs, but they didn't like half the shit that I said. Same stuff I could do at like a Caleb Salvatore show. Kill.
Right. That's funny because I've had like mixed experiences at Caleb's shows.
Me too.
Because I've had very good sets there, and then the last show I did there, I did 10 minutes, and there was this. I shouldn't like say I didn't do well. I did okay, but like the last part of it. The last part of the bit, there was through the whole set, there was this lady in the front row just like eyeing me down and like did not laugh. Then like I walked one guy, which I'd never done in my life. I just walked a dude over like some like random joke that I do, and like he just didn't like it. I guess I was like, okay, it was just it was weird, it was strange, but I do get what you mean. Like there's different places that you can do different sets at.
Yep.
well, shoot, guys.
But yeah, dude, it's been
We probably better wrap it up.
yeah. We got to get to the mic.
We got a good roll.
I mean,
going on.
the show. I mean, the show starts at 9. Well,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to that tonight. We'll see. I haven't decided yet. I probably got to take my wife to dinner.
You probably have to take your wife to dinner.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for having us on, guys.
No,
Hey,
for
no,
sure.
it was fun.
Is
This was
there
fun.
anything you guys want to plug?
Shit, I don't got anything. I don't know when I'm doing my next show, so
Instagrams, Facebook, stuff like that.
Saturday, next Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm at my show.
I'll put it.
yeah.
You guys both have Instagram and Facebook, right?
Yeah. Instagram, Facebook.
I'll tag your guys' Instagrams in the
Instagram.
video.
Yeah. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Yep.
Yep. Hell yeah.
Rashod Vaughn. Yep.
There you go.
Skeet,
Well, it's
skeet.
been
Let
lit,
us
guys.
talk here.
Get on my
You guys
dick.
Thank you
Yes.
guys for coming on, and we'll have to do this again for sure.
For sure.
For sure.
It's been lit. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe. Oh fuck! It ran out. It just stopped recording. Just right now. I just watched it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I was like, did you not turn the camera on?
No. It's definitely recording. The audio is still recording.
Sweet.